Hello, everyone. Here we are. This is going to be page 20. In previous videos, I've started the sort of prep work so that I can hit render and start the first picture. But I thought this might be I decided this one. I'll show you the prep work that goes into that first picture, because it's usually the page change is a good place to make for a scene change overall. And in the previous one, we sort of had the two characters back at home kind of talking about what's been going on, sort of having a conversation. I can't really think of how to describe it right now, but basically, Elliot was giving Rusty an excuse to strike out on his own, sort of get away from his friend, get some alone time. And in this page, we're going to reveal that was so he could come and see this girl without having Rusty there bothering him. And it's since the setup in the previous is that they're basically changing and showering, or they were about to prior to coming out. I've got to change outfits for Elliot. Blue gray. I think dark blue is next. Pretty much, I guess in previous works I just randomly pick outfits and go from there. This one, for some reason, I'm kind of trying to just go down the line and do them in order. No particular reason, just something I set out to do this time around. So we're going to put you in there. So clothes. And in this one, since Rusty is not going to be in the scene, we're going to put him into the character folder and make him disappear. Sort of additionally, as far as changing costumes or whatever, you'll see everybody standing in the background or sitting in the background or hanging out in the background. The last time I used this scene, I basically recolored everybody's outfits to make it look like they were wearing something different, but then I never actually showed anybody. So in here, I can get away with using the same textures on the outfits that I had changed for the last time. And I don't expect I'm going to be... Well, you know what? I'm going to change her position for the heck of it. I'm not sure we're going to actually see her, but just in case, I want it to make it look like she's doing something other than standing there looking up at the sky. Oh, what's up there? Maybe I can have her crouch down as if she's playing with the pastry case. Here we go. Yeah. Not sure why, but I probably won't see her feet, but I probably could have gotten away with just sticking her feet through the floor, but oh yeah, that doesn't look weird or anything. Let's see how far. Okay. Again, we're probably not going to see much of this, so I kind of... There. And who knows what she's doing with the register when there's no customers. Maybe she's just like counting her receipts or something. Who knows? You can invent your own little story as if we ever see her. The other thing is, where is Elliot? I don't need the coffee cup. I'm just going to delete this. And let's see. I've got to expand the hand because I don't remember if any of the fingers were manipulated. So we're just going to delete all the keys and reset the hand. And while we're doing it, let's do the same for the shoulder and forearm. And now, as we come into the page, he's going to be approaching the shop. And as you can see, I don't have a full 360-degree background. So I've got to watch my angles when I'm shooting through the windows, or when I do an outside scene. I've got to keep the shot solely on the coffee shop. Because I generally don't use the whole picture when it goes into the page, I don't have to worry about like the edge being sort of exposed like this, because I'm just going to use the middle. So we're going to rotate him this way to make it look like he's walking. And we're walking. Let's see. And let's... Okay, I guess he's already on the floor. Control D brings him to the floor. Pretty much the last page closed where he tells you, the reader, that his reason for ditching Rusty was an excuse, and we're going to come into this page and he's going to explain to you, the reader, why that excuse is. Also, there's another character I want to get rid of, but I'm going to keep the camera angle, so let's go to perspective view, and let's find the girl. Even though we don't have her name yet, she will eventually be called Tamara, which is why she's got that name in the scene list. But again, because nobody's actually talked to her, he hasn't actually learned her name yet. So that's not in the story yet. And because she's not going to be here at the coffee shop, we're going to put her into the invisible character folder. And this book is going to go away. I'm not sure I want the book anymore, so I'm just going to delete it. I can always reload it if I want, but I think that's it. Let's readjust this a little bit, because when it's on the top of the page, when it's at the when the picture is in the top row, I keep it large enough so that the top edge ends up getting trimmed off. So I always keep that in mind when making the images for the top panels, and similarly when they're on the bottom panels, it's large enough that the bottom edge gets trimmed off instead. So we're going to render this, and this is number 41. We're still in the 5th day of wherever in the universe this is. So we render that. And I'm going to use Elliot's text And actually, I don't think I've done a video that's addressed the text, but sort of the theme is, and I guess I think I started it with, I think it was My Twin No More, where I decided to use some of the metal textures in my texture folder, one of the metal textures in the textures folders, to indicate that the text bubbles were Brody's speech. And it was something I decided to stick with for this series, so I reused Brody's signature text in his story, but I sort of dug through for others, for the other three signature stories. Oh, I'm already got that. Let's see. Actually, I'm just going to dig up page 19 to kind of see exactly what I said with. He didn't have to worry because I wasn't really going to talk to Brody. Okay. So now we've got to come off here. I gotta caps that. Oops. I wanted to come here to see her without having. Oh, no. You know what? I gotta bring this where I can see it. I wanted to come here. Oh, to see her. Yeah, okay, we're gonna keep that. I wanted to come here to see her. I think this is my chance to talk to her without Rusty to bother me. Uh, and with this sort of texture, because it's a little darker, I'm going to recolor the text itself to white. Whoops. Okay, never mind. I've got to actually select the text. Select the text. Okay, so white. And then, for some reason, the white doesn't look as good bold. Let's see where I am. When I hit bold. For some reason, it looks a lot clearer when it's not bolded, as opposed to the black text, which sticks out more when I use bold. So I don't bold the white. And then what I'm going to do is select that text bubble, hit the scale layer tool over here, instead of like giving it a specific scale, and then I'll just resize it to sort of fit. Over here I've got the scale dialog. This is the scale button, and I've got that. And before I go trimming, I'm going to move this to the next line, which means I have to sort of stretch this out. So I want to make sure the text looks good before I trim the box. So now I'm going to come over here in my resized box. I'm going to select the square selection and just kind of select. Put a box around the text. Let's trim that down a little bit. And then I'm going to select the invert so that it's got everything outside that box selected, and then I just cut. None. And okay, the picture is just about done. But with this one, we go with a new layer. Okay, let's go color, invert. I want to give it a white border, so then I come here, select the layer size, fuzzy select everything on the outside, come to my layer, select, let's see, invert. And this one, because I'm making the border, instead of shrinking, I do grow. and I've got it set for 2 pixels, not 1. So okay. Then I've got to select again, so I've got the outside and edit to cut. And there's my border. Select none so you can see it. And then just merge that down, and that way I can move the combined box as I need to. And here is my picture. Whoa, what happened? Hmm. Okay. That's interesting. I think, boy, I didn't have that before. Um, I suspect this has to do with the fact that this set was shaded to be used in iRay, and I'm using it in 3 to light. And a number of the textures have been sort of reshaded, and I think some have not. So I'm going to see if I can do this quickly for you guys. If this is going to drag on, then I'll do a cut here and just come back on. I'll just sort of cut that all out. Where am I? Shop. The coffee shop. Where to start? Walls. Front wall. Surface. No, the wall is all. So let's see what's parented. Oh, except this isn't the front wall. This is left, right? Left wall? Yeah. Okay, so no, the wall itself is already textured. Come on. There we go. Let's see the door. Glass. Ah, shoot. That's. Okay, so the door is. So I have one. Okay, that's. Okay, so I'm going to select this, come into Content Library, or not. There we go. Let's go into DAZ Studio Formats, My DAZ 3D Library, and we're going to come under, I think, is it Shaders? No, Shader Presets and DS Defaults. We've got it selected in the Surface page, and we're just going to go DS Default. And now, since it's undoing the glass shader, the glass iRay shader, I'm going to get this solid glass door. So I'm going to take the right door, which is already. Oh. Okay, the glass door is. Okay, never mind. I'm going to have to do the frame. The glass is already done, but the frame is not. So I'm just going to do that frame. Now we select the whole thing and go copy, and let's go to the door left and go paste. And that's got that. Okay. So now, does the wall glass? So I think glass is the windows and this piece here, I think. No, that's not gonna. Nope. It's just the windows. So I gotta figure out where this is. Door top. Okay. And that's already. But the door frame is not. Let's go. It's default. Hmm. But I think I'm going to cut here, and we'll come back after because I think you see what I'm trying to accomplish, and I'm not going to bore you while I'm like focusing more on this. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so whatever was going on, it was just a case of closing the program and reopening it. I guess it just wanted to be a pain in the butt. But here's sort of the image without all the stupid artifacts that I was getting before. So we'll save that. Um, why is it telling me I already have this? Let's see. Oh, okay. So this is actually going to be 41, not 35. No, no, 41. It should do it right. Okay. Now we'll come over here and finally open as layers. Layer scale 34. Okay, so we're going to cut it this way. And I know I like to complain I get distracted, but as you can see, there's sort of a lot that goes or that can go wrong in between pages when you're trying to set up a scene. That ends up eating time. You get stuck retexturing, trying to figure out why a scene doesn't render right. I just like to complain. Yeah, so you always got to have something to complain about. Um, let's okay. Now let's put him inside. And I think that's 90 degrees. Okay, so let's grab his head and we'll focus on that. And let's see. I'm not sure if this is going to work or if I should just focus on her table. And of course, if you're eagle-eyed and you've been reading the other stories, you may have already noticed that over here you have the unknown leader of this group is over here, and she's talking. You don't see it here, but on the other side of the table, I think you would have seen it in one of the earlier pages. Is I think what did we end up? What did I think her name was revealed as Mona? You have these two sitting there talking across the table. So it's like the idea is to give, or it's to give you this idea that these people are out there. Um, they're out there in plain sight and nobody's noticing them. Or at the same time, they're quietly watching. The idea is like, how are these people on their radar to begin with? How are they? The idea is like, how do they know it's where these people are, where they're going to be, how to get them, etc. Whatever question you have on their planning of whatever is going on. So the idea is like if is like you pop them into these scenes so that they're there, they're always there, they're watching, they see, they know. If you're really eagle-eyed. Um, the only thing we don't have is, I think, the thugs, the two groups of thugs, the one that kidnapped Brody and Corey, and the group that was targeting Tyler. But you know what? I think I'm going to keep the table off in distance. think we're going to make this page just one artistic cut from table face, etc., etc. 42. I'm going to come over here and grab Control C on that, and we will paste it as we'll just make that invisible for the time being. I wanted to come here to see her. I think this is my chance to talk to her without Rusty to bother me. Of course, I shouldn't have expected she'd still be here. Of course, I shouldn't have expected she'd still be here. I should have known she'd have other things to do besides hang out in this coffee shop all day. Let's make this white. I'm not sure. That's kind of square enough for me now, but I like to get it a little longer, like that. Okay. So now we'll do the resize tool. There we go. Doesn't need to be perfect. And I don't think you really notice the difference in texture from different pieces. Some of the texture backgrounds I've used have been sort of very noticeably different in each part of the square, so I kind of reposition it so that I use a different piece of the texture as the background, but I think with this one you don't really notice. Now let's select invert, select grow by 2, select invert and edit cut. Oops, I guess I forgot to invert it. No, I do. Oh, you know what? I'm talking to you guys, and and I'm at the wrong step physically here. So, okay, so we're just gonna cut that. Undo. Select invert. Okay, now we cut. There we go. And I should have saved that white background since I'm going to keep reusing it. But anyway, we go layer, new layer. Select none. Otherwise, I end up inverting just the piece that's selected. Color, invert. I'll get white. Layer to image size. And this is the step where I grow the border. Grow by 2. Okay, select invert. And I want to be on the white background. Edit, cut. Select none. Let's merge down. And I'm still waiting on this picture. So what we'll do is give this one the black border. New layer. There's a black border. Now we go layer to image size. Cut. Edit. Paste as new layer. Select invert. This one is shrink because I'm trimming the picture, not the black border. Edit, cut. And let's see it. There's my black border. And merge down. The thing about this, though, normally it wouldn't bother me to have it overlapping the previous picture like this, but it's awful close to this one. And I really don't want to move this one over. So what I might do is go back. I might end up redoing this. And Let's see. But I want that I off the end of the line. Okay, so and the problem with like trimming these down as close to the words as possible, like I was talking about earlier, is it sometimes when in older books, when I was giving them more of a space around the words and I'd make a change like this, sometimes I could kind of finagle it where I'd still have enough space at the top and bottom after after making a change like this to make it pass. But in this case, I don't, so I'm going to have to redo this. But we're going to go Control C, paste as new layer. I'm going to actually no, hold on. Let me just make that invisible for a moment. No, where is you? Not you, you. And I think no, okay. Scale. Reposition this a little bit. And I probably have the picture by now, but oh well. Cut. Edit cut. Select none. Okay, so I'm just going to take this one. We're going to use the bucket select. Fill hole selection. Is this background? No, let's go background. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to come to you. Oh, shoot. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. Okay, never mind. So, layer to image size. We go select invert and grow. Invert, and I want to be on the layer. Edit, cut. None. Okay. Merge down. Now, where's my picture? There we go. Let's open. File. Open as layers. Oops. This one. 34. Oh, okay. So this is the one thing I was worried about. Is what is it going to look like when I actually put the picture in? And it's not going to look out of place. So I think, okay. Remember which guide? Looks good, right? Okay, so we're going to save. I think also during the snip, I took the opportunity to save this as page 20, so I don't need to save it as. I can just do save. And I wonder, table sets. Which table is this? No, that one. So now we bounce around the room. The idea is he's just going to go on. So we just need something to focus on. Give it space for a word bubble. And this will be 43. Of course, I shouldn't have expected she'd still be here. I should have known she'd have other things to do. Oops, what am I doing? Trying to focus on the next line. It's running through my head. I'm not saying anything for you guys. And once again, I kind of am not paying attention to what I'm actually doing on the screen. So, ah, let's see. No, I've already used that. Go talk to her. So I hope to find my courage and ask her name. Okay. Oops. Let's resize that. Edit, cut. And trim it slightly. Cut. Select none. Whoops. Let's. Okay. Layer to image size. I'm going to show you something else I can sometimes do. Cut. Edit. Paste as new layer. Select invert. Select shrink. Okay. Merge that down. Okay, so let me see. What I'll do is sometimes use the black background that I save for the pictures if I'm going to make the cut where the next picture will end up being. So let's go layer. There's actually like a ton of ways to do things the way to do what I want, and it just comes to which one annoys me less than the rest. So if I take that same black layer, oh shoot, and I'm talking to you again. Okay, edit, undo, edit, undo. Okay, so I take the black layer, select the word bubble, select invert, then grow, pretend this is the white layer, select invert. Okay, now I can cut, and we'll just paste this, edit, paste as new layer. Make that go away. Now my border is black. Let's unselect, select none, and then I can just invert the color on this piece and merge this down. And what it means is I'll make the picture at the middle point, and then this hole in the black border won't even matter because that's just going to be behind the picture when it's done. See, here's my picture. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. 33. Okay, so let's trim the edge. Edit, cut, and select none. Okay, so we'll put on the black border, and as you can see, that hole, well, you can't see it with that there, but that hole is hidden behind the picture, so it's not going to matter. So now I could just go layer to image size, fuzzy select, and go through all this. Edit, cut, edit, paste as new layer, make that invisible for a moment, select invert, select, select none. Okay, so now we're just going to move this down there into that space I created. I can hope she would be. Okay. And now we'll do a focus on his face, a close up on his disappointing. Now we'll get a reaction shot. And he's gonna look sad. Yeah, I don't think that's quite. I think we'll just use mouth frown. Hmm. That doesn't seem sad enough. Okay, let's do the eyebrows. Out or down. Let's go to some of the non-favorites. Let's see. How about top down? Yeah, that looks kind of sad and pathetic. Do I have more mouth corner? And let's see if we can have him slumping a little. And the one thing is, when I sort of make these characters freakishly sized, it ends up messing with the outfits that are supposed to fit on the models. So you can kind of see the poke through at the armpit there. So, what I keep forgetting to do, or what I end up having to do every time I load these into a different set, is I've got to come over here under Edit, Figure, Geometry, and add a smoothing modifier. And that'll kind of fix the poke through. So let's see, does he look sad and pathetic enough? Yeah, I guess so. Zoom in a little bit, and we go 44. Da, 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 of course I shouldn't have. I kind of hoped she would be. I hope to find my courage and ask her name. Now I've got to lead into. I'm going to go into another fantasy sequence. I'm not sure offhand if I if I sort of captured the page where he did the first fantasy sequence, but it's the idea. I've been doing these little, or I did before, a brief sequence where he's fantasizing about himself talking to her, and that's what I'm going to do now. Is another one. So let's see. No, I don't like how this is starting. I kind of hope she would be. I hope she'd ask her name. You know what? He'd use a contraction here. Whoops. Maybe she'd want to come and see my place. It's like one of those cases where I kind of know what I want to say, but how do I say it? How do I want to organize this? Oops. Maybe she'd want to go hang somewhere else. Maybe she'd want to come and see my place. Maybe that will change later. But that's kind of the sentiment I want. I want to do a fantasy sequence at the apartment. Inverse, edit, cut. Not an overly sexual. I know where your mind is because that's where mine is. So sort of, but not going to be a sex scene. We're keeping this PG. We when it goes up on Amazon, we don't want them getting upset. Invert. Let's go edit, cut. Select none, and we have to color invert that. And we have the picture of him looking sad. Let's import that. Open as layers. 33, scale. Oops, I need to see the guide. There we go. Let's move it over. I know the head's not quite centered, but I sort of want his arm in the shot. So let's cut that and select none to see that it's okay. Edit, cut, select invert, select shrink, okay, select invert, and let's paste that before we go adding the something else to the clipboard instead. And then I can cut this. Yeah, I'll keep that there. And part of me was going to bring it down, but I think there's generally equal space all around, so we'll leave it as is. Save that. And what I'm going to do here is make another cut because I'm going to save this scene and then open up the apartment again. And I'm not going to sit here and kind of fill up dead space while waiting for that to happen. So we're going to cut and come back when the scene is open. And here's the apartment scene. I've already done I've already done the setup work. We had to import her into the scene. We staged them both, put the right shirt on him, even though this is a fantasy scene, actually, you know what, come to think of it, this is going to be one of those, let's just dump these in the right folder for now. In the last fantasy scene, where are we? Here we are. In the last fantasy scene, I had the wrong shirt on him, so when you come back, I forgot to change the shirt from the last time I used the set. So I think to kind of keep it from looking like an accident, well, the rationale for keeping it, I think I might have discussed it too in a previous video, but the rationale for keeping it is that in a fantasy scene, it doesn't matter. He could be fantasizing he's wearing different clothes than he's actually wearing at the moment. So I'm going to actually put him in the black shirt now that I'm thinking about it. Elliot. Black. So we'll take that mistake and sort of create a theme that he's wearing the black shirt. In his fantasies, he's always wearing that black shirt. So I'll just turn off the dark blue so I don't forget about it. And I've got to add the smoothing modifier, figure. There we go. And 2 with the... Oops. Oh, okay. And 2 in the fantasy scenes, to distinguish them from reality, I've taken the... where do I want to go? Complex. Let me show you this. I've taken the environment light and changed the color from white to this brownish color. I don't think it doesn't really show up too well in the coffee shop scene where the walls and the floors and all the furniture is brown to begin with, but it might in here. Either way, you should notice something slightly off about the picture when you're watching it on the page. Let's see. I think 2 in the fantasy scene, one of the things I was doing to sort of indicate was blurring everything but the characters. And actually, the table is blurred too. The idea is to sort of give it that fantasy element. Um, since the background is going to be part of their talk, so in this scene, she's going to make this comment about how big everything is. You know, one of those double entendres. Um, I'm going to leave the background clear because they're looking at it instead of the background just being in the background. So let's render that, and I think I'm going to take this one. Layer. Let's see. Everything is so big. Just like you. Everything is so big. Just like you. Uh, Now let's see. I think... Let's see. I think we're going to kind of... Yeah, okay, that'll do it. We're going to split this one like that. Let's see. There. Merge that down. And while I'm working in here, I guess I will talk about it, but one thing that's kind of raising my eyebrow right now is that I'm seeing that this guideline is suddenly off-sized. And it's got me wondering what's going on. Actually, I forgot to merge this one down, so let's start taking pictures out. You know what this actually looks like? Yep. Okay, it's this layer. For some reason, the when I trimmed off all the excess, this wasn't selected and didn't get cut, so we're just going to cut that. None. And that fixes that. Otherwise, if I left it, chances are it would have been sitting over the picture. Okay, so see how everything is kind of dark and dreamy? It looks like chocolate. It looks like he's living in an apartment of chocolate. Oh my god, that's funny. But shoot. Yeah, okay. I'm sitting here thinking about changing my mind and blurring the background, but I think it's like I said. It's sort of because I want it to fit with what I'm trying to do with this particular scene. Okay. I think we'll make this. Since I went with that decision, I want to see the room. So we're going to make this a big one of the larger picture in order to showcase the room, or at least what little I can see of the room. Bring that there down on the floor. Okay. Let's turn her around. Let's go this way. Straighten the head out a little. Bend her chest back a little. Arms would be leaning, so she's looking way up. Her arms would be uh, pointing back. And similarly, he would be bending. Oh, he's already bending over. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, that's. No, actually, no. That looks weird. uh, that looks good. Let's see. No, I don't want that one. Control C. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a. Yeah, I'm silent here because I'm trying to think of like a line that just doesn't sound weird. Everything's so big, just like you. See how weird that sounds. Why don't we go to your bedroom and see what else is big? But then again, like he's supposed to be 16. This is his fantasy, so and he's a boy, so it's kind of it feels like it'd be right that he'd imagine her saying something weird. And sort of the fantasy going in this direction is going to serve kind of 2 points. One, while I'm not actually taking the fantasy in the direction that I'm implying, it's sort of, I think this will be, it'll be sort of an excuse to showcase him just flexing for her, showing his arms or his chest or whatever I decide in the moment. But secondary, if the thought is going towards sex, the idea is that the thought goes towards sex, even if the story itself doesn't go that way. Is this is supposed to lead into what he wants to do with the bottle of ink? Because I think at the end of Corey's story, he indicated that he wanted to keep it, that he wasn't going to trade it after all. He wanted to use it. He didn't say he was going to use it for himself. But basically, his plans are a more selfish. At least that's the implication. And the idea is sort of fantasizing about the two of them having sex is going to lead into a concern for him that's going to lead to that decision to keep the ink. And I really don't want to spoil it because it's not going to go. It's ultimately at the end of the story, at the very end of the story, what he's going to do with the ink is kind of not what I'm trying to imply, and it's probably not what you're thinking after listening to me go on about this and this particular scene. But what am I doing? Paste as. But it's the idea is this scene um, is the impetus for him to rethink his decision to bargain with everybody else. Whoops, I didn't want to do that yet. Select invert. I gotta invert first. Okay. It's yeah, I'm an invert. It's not that he's making up his mind in this scene. It's that this fantasy gives him something that he's going to be thinking about. and he's going to reach the conclusion eventually. Whoops. Okay, you know what? I'm going to start over on this one since I'm like talking to you guys and not paying attention at all to what I'm doing here. Select invert, select shrink. Okay, select invert, edit, cut, select none. Merge down. Okay, there we go. We got our border. And here's the picture. Open as layers. Oops, wrong folder. Scale it to 34. I gotta put that there. No, I don't. Because going back to what he wants to do for the ink, it's going to be just like this story. What's coming? How it's going to play out in probably part 2, maybe part 3. In that it's going to be kind of a twisty turn as far as Tamara here. uh, um, what am I doing now? Okay. My mind is too busy trying to think of what I want to talk about because I'm here at the end of the page and I'm wondering if I should go into a certain topic or if I should save it for another video when I've got more time. But and it's kind of the decision making is keeping me from this. But I think I'll probably talk. But it's like because I'm not 100% sold on the direction that this story is going in. And no. Save, image, flatten. I've got basically 2 ideas for what I want to do with these characters. And one of them I want to use in this story, and the other I think is gonna end up in the 5th story called United. And I just keep going back and forth on which element I'm going to use here and which one I'm going to use in United. And it's sort of, I guess the deciding factor is I've got to go back through Tyler's story and see just where Elliot shows up in the course of that story to see if there's enough time passing between his appearances where I can send him off somewhere else while the 4 concurrent stories are running together. But here's Elliot. I wanted to come here to see her. I think this is my chance to talk to her without Rusty to bother me. Of course, I shouldn't have expected she'd still be here. I should have known she'd have other things to do besides hang out in this coffee shop all day. The idea is because this is in this particular day. This is actually the second time he's been to the coffee shop. This is one of those days that goes on a lot longer than most, where it started off. Basically they go to the coffee shop, then they come home. They come home. They go to the gym. There's a scene at the gym, and now he's back at the coffee shop. It's the idea is they're usually at the coffee shop during the morning, and this is later in the afternoon. I kind of hoped she would be. I hoped to find my courage and ask her name. Maybe she'd want to go hang somewhere else. Maybe she'd want to come and see my place. Everything is so big, just like you. why don't we go to your bedroom and see what else is big? You know, I don't know if I'll do the next page because I'm probably getting hungry at this point, and I'll probably make something to eat. But I think the next panel might be where I was talking about having him flex, where you see this, she wants to go to the bedroom to see what else is big, and then you come to the next panel, and instead of instead of it being nudity, she's checking out his arm or something. That's where he's you can write to him like flexing for her. One of those things that like the joke is that it's not what you expected. But that's page 20, and it's kind of like, as you can see, I sort of whine about distractions, but like really, there's um, a lot of stuff that goes into like staging some of these pictures, into sort of making sure everything works when it comes time to render, that sort of thing. and and it seems like with each story I end up like making things more complicated as I become sort of more sophisticated with this. Basically I'm still learning, so even though I've been doing this for a few years now, it's I'm still learning and still like doing things different, better, experimenting, etc., etc. You know, but anyway, that was page 20. Hopefully, hopefully I'll get my butt in gear and get this last. What are we looking at? 4 pages now. One, two, three, four, and and get it up for you guys on Patreon. Um, so I'll talk to you later. Later.